Hello, it is dark and gloomy and rainy outside today, so it's a perfect time to talk about this book. Recently, for February, I'm participating in an event called Holmes is Where the Heart Is. This is an event where all month long we are reading the Sherlock Holmes canon, or at least parts of it. The prompt for week one was to read something from the long canon, and so this past week I read The Hound of the Baskervilles, which is in volume 2 of this Bantam box set that I picked up from a thrift store. I first read this book in 2015 and really loved it then, but I haven't read it since then. And about 9 years later now, I've finally given it a reread, and I think I like it even more now than I did back then. The book is it's full of atmosphere. It's one of, I think, what are there, 4 Sherlock Holmes full-length novels. This one is a little more gothic in nature and is just really enjoyable to read. The atmosphere is really good. The story is just about there's this family called the Baskervilles that have sort of a local legend around them. Legend has it that one of the ancestors of the current heir to the estate, Henry Baskerville, one of his ancestors called up this demon dog to catch this lady he was betrothed to who didn't want to be with him, and she tried to escape, and he, being an evil man, called this demonic dog, this hound, if you will, to come and help capture her, and, per the legend, it ended up killing both of them, and then apparently the most current tenant before Henry, his father, I think Charlie is his name? Oh, I'm sorry, I just don't remember. But the current tenant was found dead, and it looks like he had died of fright. And so Henry Baskerville was set to inherit his the whole estate and this mansion. And he starts noticing that he's being followed. So he goes to Sherlock Holmes, and with Sherlock is Dr. Watson, and asks for Sherlock's help because, there's all this stuff going around, and he just wants to make sure, he's okay, and just asking Sherlock to look into things. Sherlock ends up sending Dr. Watson with him to, go to the estate and just keep an eye on things, because he has some cases he needs to clear up. But before they go, they discover that they've been watched by this mysterious bearded mystery man who they try to chase down and apprehend, but he gets away and mocks Sherlock Holmes in the process of doing so. So already there's a little bit of tension at the very beginning, there is some sort of conspiracy going on. We're not quite sure what, but how does it relate to the legend? And apparently there's sounds of a hound found in the moors around this estate. So anyway, Sherlock sends Dr. Watson to go investigate and just keep an eye on Henry Baskerville while he is clearing up his cases. And so Dr. Watson goes and is sort of like an imperfect amateur sleuth who discovers all sorts of mysteries around. I'm not going to go into full details. I highly recommend you just read this. But Dr. Watson is the primary character throughout the book, which I think is a really strong choice because if you want to add tension and sort of a supernatural element to the story, you want someone who isn't the perfect detective. So I thought that was a really good idea of Arthur Conan Doyle to have this book star Dr. Watson. Therefore, you can get more of a gothic feel of he's just going around this mansion and things are not what they seem. There's a lot of really good bits of atmosphere in this book. There's the bearded stalker, as we mentioned. Then there's this legend of this demonic hound, and they are hearing howling in the moors, and no one really is sure what that is. There's an old mansion, which is always a good set piece for this kind of story. And the servants themselves are not really trustworthy. It seems like they're keeping secrets. When they arrive in that town, you get word of an escaped convict who is just hiding in the moors, and he is apparently guilty of the most horrific crimes of murder plus. And then as Dr. Watson tries to investigate the whereabouts of the convict, they find that there's another secretive man on the moor. And so, like, mystery just adds to mystery. The moor itself is considered a highly dangerous place. Early in the book, Dr. Watson witnesses a horse just getting sucked into the bogs of the moor. And there's nothing you can really do about it. So, like, if you go into the moors at night, there's a really good chance you might step into the wrong place and then get sucked down into the earth. So the atmosphere is just perfect in this book. I definitely give this book 5 stars out of 5. It's probably my favorite Sherlock Holmes story. I think that's not uncommon thought. This is a well-known story, and while the supernatural might not be real in Sherlock Holmes stories, like, this is the closest we get to it. And what I like also about this is that we do get Dr. Watson being the protagonist for the majority of the book. But when Sherlock Holmes does make a reappearance in the story, which, you know, he's going to do, it isn't some sort of Deus Ex Machina where he's just like, and here's the resolution to everything. No, they both have to, like, struggle, and the ending is an imperfect one as far as, like, you know, wrapping up the mystery and getting the bad guy. So I highly recommend you give this a shot if you haven't read it before. If you have, reread it again. It's really good. It holds up to a reread. 9 years is probably too long between readings of this book, so I just highly recommend it, and I'm really glad for the opportunity to revisit it again. So that's it for me. Thank you, everyone. I will talk to you again about more Sherlock Holmes later this month.